When getting into any game or community, there's usually a lot to learn, and with Figure Order, one of the biggest learning curves is the lingo. NP batteries, a maximum broken KScope, NP refund, a Plugsuit support, Star Bomb. Yeah, there's a lot. When looking up guides, you'll find a lot of different sources, along with a few different terminologies that may not be immediately known to a newer player. In this video, we'll be breaking down the most common terms used within the Figure Order community while providing visual examples to make them easier to understand. For servant nicknames, I'll have a separate link to a document for them in the description below. A very special thanks to our first sponsor, Bai, for sponsoring this video. If there's ever been a figurine, cosplay, or anything else you haven't been able to find, Bai is your one-stop shop for any of your Japanese merch needs. You can use their site to search across various Japanese native shopping sites to find items you can't find elsewhere, or even find better deals than other existing sites. They offer a variety of languages, and for you guys, they're offering 2,000 yen or about $17 US off your next purchase with this link in the description below. They're also currently featuring a Chinese New Year campaign special for the month of February, so be sure to check them out while supplies last. Thanks again to Bai for sponsoring this video. Now, on to the FGO terms. Starting off with the first term, 2030. 2030 is a common term for the craft essence, a fragment of 2030. This is a great craft essence for increasing your chances of landing a critical attack. 2K4. This is a term for the Mystic Code, a fragment of 2004. This Mystic Code is one of the best Mystic Codes for supporting farming teams, but can also be used for other team compositions. It is currently obtainable through the Rare Prism shop for 5 rare prisms. 3-turn farming. This is the act of clearing a free quest within 3 turns, which is usually the minimum amount of turns needed to clear a quest, as most quests have 3 waves of enemies. 5 CE and 6 CE comps. These are team comps that can farm free quests with either 5 or 6 empty craft essence slots. This allows the player to equip as many copies of a certain event craft essence to increase their drop rates when farming for specific event items. 90+ Lotto Nodes. This is a phrase you'll hear when people talk about irregular enemy waves during events. In most event free quests, there are 3 enemies in the first 2 waves, which make them easier to farm for arts and quick-based farming teams, as each target yields a certain amount of NP refund for your servant dealing the damage. In essence, the more enemies to kill, the higher the NP refund becomes to enable your servant to use their NP again. 90+ Lotto Nodes, on the other hand, have less than 3 enemies in at least one of the first 2 waves, which make them more difficult to farm depending on your team's setup. But they do drop more rewards than the usual event-free quests. AOE, acronym for Area of Effect, is any skill or attack that affects a whole party rather than just a single target. AoE NPs and skills typically deal lower damage per unit than single target NPs and effects. AP, short for action points, is the stamina that allows you to play through quests in the game. Your stamina refills at a rate of 1 AP every 5 minutes, and can also be refilled by either apples or sync quartz, the premium currency of the game. Apologems. This is a nickname for the sync quartz that are given for system downtime or for any other server-wide error experienced in the game. Arts. This is the blue card type in FGO that generates more NP gain but has little to no star generating effects. This card type typically deals more damage than quick cards but less damage than buster cards. Battery. This is a term that refers to any skill that charges up a servant's NP gauge, which is the meter that allows them to use their NP when it reaches 100%. BG, short for Black Grail, is another popular CE that increases a servant's NP damage by 60% and by up to 80% at max limit break, the most powerful CE when it comes to boosting NP damage. Bond Grail. This is a rare item that raises the maximum bond level limit of a servant by 1. These can be obtained from events or from the Rare Prism shop. Burst damage. This typically refers to a servant who's able to generate a high amount of damage but over a short period, typically for 1 turn. Buster. This is the name of the red card type that deals more damage than the arts or quick card types, but has little to no NP gain or star generating effects. Card, or carding, is the act of using the regular command cards to attack an enemy target. Cavalry Classes. These are the classes that include riders, casters, assassins, and berserkers. CC. This is an abbreviation of the term command code, a type of command card attachment that can apply a certain effect to a regular command card. You can also figure out what type of command codes your servant has equipped mid-battle by selecting their profile icon and scrolling down. CD, short for cooldown, is how many turns you have to wait before using a skill again. CE. This is an abbreviation of the word Craft Essence, a type of card that you can equip to any of your own servants before entering a quest to provide a specific type of buff. Chain, or chaining, is the act of using 3 cards of the same card type from the same servant, or both. Charisma. When people say charisma, they're typically referring to a skill that provides an attack buff for the whole party. Charmlock. This is a mechanic that occurs through charming an enemy, either with skills or other effects that prevents them from taking any action on their turn. Command cards. These are cards that the player is presented with during a battle that execute different attacks that have different effects depending on the card type. CQ, short for challenge quest, are boss battle-like quests where they can be one or multiple enemies with certain gimmicks that make them more difficult than regular quests. Crit stars. These are stars that can be generated in battle by attacks or skills that increase the chance of landing a critical attack. CS, short for command seals, are a special ability that allows the player to either fully heal a servant, charge up a servant's NP gauge by 100%, or revive a whole team at the cost of 3 command seals. A player recovers 1 command seal per day and can hold up to 3 at a time. DCS, the acronym for Double Castoria System, is a type of composition that uses 2 Castorias to support a particular servant for either farming or challenge quests. DKS, short for Double Koyanskaya System, is a system that uses 2 Koyanskaya of Light servants as the supports for a particular Buster servant. Dolphin. This is a label we give to players who spend a moderate amount of money in the game. Door farming. This is a phrase that refers to farming the quests within the Chaldea gate that drop QP, a type of resource used for leveling up servants and CEs. The enemies in these quests are always these weird magic door things, hence the term door farming. DOT. This is a common term amongst other games that stands for damage over time. DPS. Another common term in other game genres that directly stands for damage per second, although in our case, it's treated as a noun that refers to any damage-dealing focused servant. DSS, the acronym for Double Skadi System, is a type of team composition that uses 2 Skadi servants to support a quick-based servant. Esports Servant. An esports servant is typically a servant who has very useful skills but is intentionally kept at a lower level so they have a higher chance of dying after using their skills to bring in another servant. Extra class. This is a class type that includes all classes that are not part of the Cavalry or Knight classes. These currently include the Ruler, Avenger, Moon Cancer, Alter Ego, Foreigner, Pretender, and Shielder classes. F2P, short for free-to-play, is a type of player who chooses to progress through the game without spending any money, and as a result depends on the free given premium currency in the game to gain new characters and CEs. Farmer. This is a servant who can clear common enemy waves with their NP, usually within 3 turns. Faux cards. These cards increase a servant's base HP and attack stat by up to 1,000, and can increase the stats by up to 2,000 using gold faux cards. These are obtained through events as well as the Mana Prism and Rare Prism shops. Fou Paws. These can be attached to a command card to increase a single command card's base attack by up to 500. These are obtained through login bonuses and events. FP, aka Friend Points. These are obtained through the usage of support lists, events, and login bonuses. These are the currency that allows a player to roll the Friend Point Gacha, which drops lower rarity servants, among other resources. Further info can be found in a link below. Gapples, a shortened term for golden apples, is an item that fully restores a player's stamina. These are best saved for certain events that have generous item drop rates to maximize your stamina efficiency. Gorilla Decks. This is a name for servants who have 3 buster cards out of the 5 total command cards that all servants have to use as regular attacks. This means that they'll typically do more damage with their regular attacks, but will have a harder time generating crit stars or charging up their NP due to the lesser amount of quick or arts cards. Guts. Guts is an ability that allows the servant to revive with a certain amount of HP after their HP bar falls to 0. Hand farming. Similar to door farming, this is when a player farms the EXP nodes from the Chaldea gate to get EXP cards for leveling up their servants. The enemy in these quests are these magical hand things, hence the term hand farming. Hit count. When players talk about hit count, they're referring to the number of times a single attack card hits an enemy. Higher hit counts tend to generate more crit stars and NP gain. Holy Grail. Grails are a special item that raises the maximum level limit of a servant, which eventually makes them stronger. Holy Grails are obtained through clearing story missions and certain events. Instakill. This is a mechanic where using certain abilities and attacks can cause an enemy to gain the status of death, regardless of damage taken. Though this is a very niche mechanic with little reliability against most servant enemies. Jeanne Face. This refers to any servant whose face looks identical or similar to the character Jeanne d'Arc from the Fate franchise. Knight classes. This is the name for the group of classes including sabers, archers, and lancers. KScope, the shortened version of the name Kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope is a CE that provides up to 80% starting NP charge and 100% starting NP charge when max limit broken. This is one of the most coveted craft essences in Fate Grand Order. Leviathan. This is a grand title given to a player who spends more money in the game than I make in a year. Looping. Looping is when a servant uses their NP on back-to-back turns through the use of either skills or NP refund that's based on the hit count from their NP attack. Lotto Events. These are among the most efficient events to farm for special materials, as despite them being called Lotto Events, there's virtually no RNG as every Lotto ticket drops a prize from the Lotto boxes. And you can farm event quests for infinite Lotto tickets to eventually clear and reset the prize pool over and over and over again. Mana Burst. Though there is a skill in the game called Mana Burst, that is only for buster card types. The term Mana Burst has also been adopted by the community to describe any skill that greatly buffs either quick, arts, or buster card effectiveness, increasing their base effects, whether it be damage, NP generation, star generation, or all of the above. MC, the abbreviation for the term Mystic Code. This is a uniform worn by the player that grants them different abilities to aid their servants in battle. These can be obtained through special event quests or the Rare Prism shops. MLB is another common term that stands for Max Limit Break. This is when a craft essence has been combined with 4 other copies of itself, causing its base effects to increase while also increasing its max level. Combining any less than 4 copies of the same craft essence unfortunately will not yield the max limit break effects. However, you do not have to combine the 4 copies at the same time. MP, the initials for Mana Prism, are a currency that can be obtained from events or through burning servants and CEs. These are used in a Mana Prism shop to purchase various items. NP, the acronym for Noble Phantasm, is a servant's ultimate ability that can only be used when their NP gauge is charged up to 100% or higher. Some Noble Phantasms deal damage to a single enemy, while others deal damage to multiple enemies. Other NPs, known as utility NPs, provide buffs or debuffs to their allies or enemies. When players mention NP1, NP2, etc., that indicates a servant's NP level. The higher the level, the more effective their NP is. However, you'll have to obtain extra copies of that servant if you want to raise their NP level. NP Refund. This is the phenomenon of charging at the NP gauge through using the NP itself. This is mainly limited to quick and arts NPs, as they're the ones that can charge up the NP gauge with every hit from their NP. Overcharge, or OC for short, is the effect that applies with every 100% charge added to the NP gauge. Overcharge can also be increased through using skills or consecutive NPs on the same turn. For more info on overcharge effects, I'll have the wiki link in the description below. Overkill, or Overgauge, is a mechanic that causes every hit from an attack beyond the target's HP pool to yield slightly more critical stars and NP gain. Pity system. This is a common gacha term that refers to a mechanic that grants the player a freely given unit after a certain number of rolls. You can think of this like the slot machine giving you a free jackpot after spending a certain amount, like $100. For more information on the pity system, I'll have a link down below. Plugsuit. This is a nickname of the Mystic Code Combat Chaldea uniform. The term Plugsuit is also used as a verb for swapping out a servant with another one mid-battle. PP, short for PP, short for Pure Prism, is a new item that can be exchanged in the Pure Prism shop for Ascension materials. Pure Prisms currently can only be obtained by completing main story quests and are received through the present box. Proc. This is a common gaming term for when a chance-based ability lands or is otherwise activated. QP, short for Quantum Piece, is the name of the currency that's used for leveling up servants and craft essences alike. QP is obtained through completing quests, event rewards, and many other avenues. Quick, the star-generating card type in FGO. Quick cards have the highest star generation rate out of the 3 card types, meaning they typically give you a higher chance of landing a critical attack on the next turn. For more info on the card types, I'll include an additional wiki link down below. Gapples. This is the term for when a player uses the premium currency Saint Quartz to refill their stamina instead of using apples. This is generally advised against, as Saint Quartz are usually best used for rolling for new servants. However, if you plan on spending a little, it may be worth it to refill your stamina with Gapples if there's an ongoing event, such as a Lotto, that drops a lot of the materials you need to rapidly level up your servants. Rin Face. This is an attribute given to any servants who share an identical or extremely similar face to Rin Tosaka from the Fate series. RNG, a common gaming term that stands for random number generator. This is a term used as a noun for anything that is chance-based. If you hit a critical attack that has a 10% chance of landing, you have good RNG. If you manage to pull 2 SSR units in the same 10 shot, you have good RNG. If you discovered, liked, and subscribed to this channel, you may have good RNG. RP, the acronym for Rare Prism, is a currency that can be used to purchase items in the Rare Prism shop. Rare Prisms can only be obtained through special events or through burning gold servants. S1, S2, S3. These simply stand for a servant's first skill, second skill, and third skill. For example, when referring to Dante's third skill, a person may say Dante's S3, which is his NP drain skill that also acts as a star bomb. Saber Face. A Saber Face is any servant whose face carries a very similar or straight up identical appearance to that of Artoria Pendragon, also known as Saber, from the Fate series. Saint Quartz. This is a premium currency that could be used for rolling new units, refilling stamina, or for reviving your team during a tough quest. Saint Quartz are obtained through various quests, events, or by purchasing them through the shop. Sakura Face. This is the quality given to any servant whose appearance is close or identical to that of Sakura Mato from the Fate series. Salt. This is the word we use to describe the amusing spite, frustration, or otherwise negative feeling a player experiences from basically anything. No, it's Shitonai! Oh, she lived! No, she died! Oh. Soloing. This is when a player uses a team that causes the other two required party members to die rather quickly, allowing one of the party members to fight on their own. Some servants benefit more from soloing instead of fighting in a team so they can use their own command cards more often. Spook. This is when a player is rolling the gacha and gets a gold servant that isn't the servant they were rolling for, giving them the false brief hope that they got who they were going for. SR and SSR. These stand for super rare and specially super rare servants, with SRs being the 4-star servants and SSRs being the 5-star servants. ST, short for single target, refers to abilities or NPs that target a single unit instead of the whole party. These tend to have higher damage modifiers than AoE abilities due to targeting only one unit. Star Bomb. Star Bombs are skills that drop critical stars on the same turn they're used, which increases the chance of landing a critical attack. Super Scope. This is the nickname for a max limit broken Kaleidoscope craft essence at level 100. A Super Scope starts the servant off with 100% NP gauge and provides a sizable boost to their base attack stat when equipped. USO. This is an item that is granted for every copy beyond the 5th copy of a 5-star servant that a player rolls from the gacha. If a player accumulates 10 USOs, they can be exchanged for a free copy of any non-limited 5-star servant, or for the 5-star servant that is currently featured on Raid Up within the gacha. Welfares. These are servants in craft essences that are freely given from an event by clearing specific quests or challenges. It is recommended that a player try to get the welfare units before the end of the event. Whale. Whale is another name for a player who spends a ridiculous amount of money on a game out of their love for their characters, the game itself, or simply insanity. And that's it. There are definitely a lot more niche terms out there that I didn't have time to cover, but they will be listed in the FGO Dictionary document alongside the servant nicknames document I'll have linked below. If there are any more common terms you know of, feel free to comment them below. If you guys like this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see me live, I'll be over on twitch.tv/PokeTalk. Thanks again to our very first sponsor, Bai, for sponsoring this video. And remember to use the link in the description below to get 2,000 yen or about $17 US off your next purchase. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on our next one. Laters!